of Comic News, episode 159. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host, Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey, nothing. A lot of quarantine, a lot of TV shows, a lot of video games. What's up with you?
A lot of Kickstarters. So,
why didn't you tell me about that Kickstarter, Chris? That'd be great. That'd be swell.
So if you guys aren't sick of hearing it already, but remember everybody, Battle Monsters issue number 1 is on Kickstarter right now. You can go to either the show notes below, go to my Twitter, or if you're on Kickstarter, just search for Battle Monsters and you'll find it. I'm sure people are sick of hearing my voice because I've been on like 4 podcasts and I've been shouted out on a few as well. So thanks everybody for that. We are still at 40% right now, so we're climbing up there slowly. It's in that middle range right now where things kind of teeter off, but I have faith. 26 days to go. I think we can make it the rest of the way. So check that out, please, and join the fun.
Yeah, but today we have someone joining our fun. We got Jamie Jones on the show. We're going to talk to him about some of his projects. So stick around. We still have a show going on. We still have people that want to be on the show, we think. And we'll be talking to him a little bit later. But before we do that, Chris wants to talk about DC and they couldn't hang. Homie couldn't hang, right? They can't be like all the other kids in the park right now. They're like, no, you can't play with my toys. I want to be different. So let's talk about this.
Not necessarily different. They were trying to be different up until our publishing date last week, where they said they were still going to publish books digitally. And then about less than 12 hours after we released the show, they made us look like they made me look like an asshole, and decided to not publish anything. So I just want to say kudos to you, DC, for making the right decision. And that was just it. It was just kind of a correction of, at the time they had said that they were still going to do it, and then right before release, like, nah, we're going to pull them.
That's the crux of posting it a day later, posting the show a day later after we record. There's that we have that 12-hour, 20 or maybe a little more than 12-hour window of something's gonna Batman movie got canceled. 6 hours later, it's back on the shelf, and it's like, then we post the show Monday, and it's like, what? They said it was canceled. But it happens.
Yeah. So now the only publisher that I'm going to land base is Archie. They're the only ones that released comics last week.
Well, I will say this. I was really worried. I wasn't going to read any more DC comics after that whole stunt, I tell you. So I'm glad.
I'm sure you weren't, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I was Batman. What a shitty guy that is. Anyways,
I don't need that. I got Moon Knight.
Yeah, I got whatever. Let's not hold up the interview any longer. Let's jump into the news here. These people have suffered enough. We got some good news finally of things being canceled and postponed. Rick and Morty is set to return on May 3rd, so less than a month already. Awesome. Don't know why they left. I do know why they left. We heard about Dan Harmon, right? Or no, not Dan Harmon. The other guy getting a boatload of money for Hulu. Justin Roiland, right?
Yes.
Yeah, getting a boatload of money for it. So that's probably why the big gap happened within the season. But that's exciting. I'm excited for some more Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and this says to me that they're completed if they announced it, because they announced this during the epidemic. This wasn't before. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they're done. We can count on May 3rd. I'm happy. More Rick and Morty. I need more Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi show has a new writer. Jody Harold is stepping up to write the series. He is known for executive producing John Wick 3 and writing for multiple TV shows. I mean, John Wick 3 was a hit. We talk about this all the time, when people executively produce, we don't really know what that role is. They sat next to the director at lunch. I don't really,
they told the guy, you should probably make a third one of these.
Yeah. They're like, yep, you're executive producing, thanks. This doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I mean, Disney's not going to let us have a shitty Kenobi show. It's not going to happen.
No, especially since they already went through one writer who wrote an entire series, and they're like, "Nah, this isn't good enough."
Nah, we'll see you later. So they have proven to us that they'll make us wait for a Kenobi show. Yeah, so that's that. I still can't wait for that show, man. Ugh.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah. Walking Dead, how's that?
Last episode was okay. It was a lot of so now that Alpha's dead, and it's the whole turn for Negan to be a good guy, and then Daryl shows up, and Daryl doesn't believe him, and then these guys show up, and they prove Daryl wrong, and now everybody's happy together. It was a filler episode, definitely. Mm-hmm. Just kind of we need to have somebody of status believe that Negan is actually turned to the good and trying to do better. But it was a good episode. It was, another Walking Dead.
Yeah, and we got the big gap in between episodes, right? It's kind of postponed right now.
I think we got one more.
One more?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then there's the thing with Beta, and Beta kind of taking his role as Alpha moving forward. So, but yeah, I think we got one more episode, and then the hiatus till we can eventually get the final episode.
What about Clone Wars? Is that still going strong? Or?
Yeah, so this is the end of the... Actually, it's not the end. It's probably going to be another episode or two, but it was another Ahsoka Tano episode. She's in prison with these people. They got kind of brought into this spice trade debacle, and now they're trying to escape this prison because, of course, it all went wrong. But yeah, Clone Wars is really good. If you haven't watched Clone Wars and you're a Star Wars fan, you have 7 seasons to watch, and it's all pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm probably gonna be doing in the next couple of weeks.
And a movie.
Yeah. Well, I watched. First off, I watched the Invisible Man movie.
Okay.
Because Amazon's doing the whole rent movies online thing. Was not what I expected, but definitely awesome. I mean, it was more of a thriller than a horror movie, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but there were some crazy, like, holy shit moments in this movie where it was, like, really good fight scenes. There's some fight scenes with the Invisible Man. There's, like, a hallway scene, like Daredevil, where he's, like, fighting all these guards, security guards, and it's, like, an invisible guy, like, phasing in and out, like, fighting all these guys, throwing them around the hallway. It was pretty awesome. There's action in it. There's thriller, suspense. There's a little bit of, like, jump scare stuff, but it was more creepy than horror, you know what I mean? So you might even enjoy the movie. It wasn't like this is a scary movie, be scared, it was more of like unsettling, I guess. And it was a twist. Like, the man wasn't invisible because of, like, I can't remember the original monster thriller movie he's not like a science nerd. He has an accident where he becomes the Invisible Man, I think.
It was that, or it was supposed to be some sort of super soldier thing.
Yeah, and this guy is kind of like a tech guru that has a suit, and that's pretty much where I'm going to stop because I don't want to give too much of the plot away. But and the suit, like they zoom in on the suit, and it's got all these cameras on it, stuff. Very creepy. It's not like a horror movie, but it's definitely unsettling. Like when they show you the suit, it was a great movie. I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, so check that out. For shows, I'm just powering through some Netflix stuff. But I got like 2 more episodes of Flash before they did that break, so I'm going to watch those 2 episodes. But Tiger King, I watched Tiger King last week. I'm sure you watched Tiger King. Everybody's been watching Tiger King, right?
Yeah, I watched Tiger King.
Out of all those episodes, how would you describe could you give me like what happened? What the hell happened in that show is what I don't understand.
It's tough because I've been trying to tell a few people, like, you should watch it, who are like, oh, I don't like documentaries. And it's tough because what makes it entertaining is the twist around episode. I mean, like, getting into the dude's life, the Joe Exotic, is fun and good, but like what really makes it like what the fuck is right around, I think, episode 4.
When you find out she killed her husband, like, she definitely killed her husband. Yeah.
Yeah, when that happens and like he starts like going nuts on the internet and and then the death threats and it's like, I don't even know how to explain this, because I thought it was just going to be about this wacky gay dude who's a giant redneck and owns tigers, and I was like, okay, this is fun and I get it, but then it makes that twist and I was enthralled. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was watching.
And then you have the other guy who's almost like a Charles Manson. Like, he employs these women to raise tigers who work over 12 hours a day. And did you hear what he pays them? Like $100 a week? What? They're working 12-hour days. They don't get... The one girl was like, yeah, they told me I was getting breast implants, and I kind of just went with it because I hadn't rested in like a year. Like, she was bedridden in the hospital, and she said that was resting. I'm like, how are these people this brainwashed? It's crazy. It is insane.
Yeah, the guy who created this, like, he stumbled upon a gold mine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no way he thought this is what he was getting when he started this.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, check it out. I mean, it's like Chris says, it's a documentary, but it mainly focuses on the illegal trade of exotic animals within the U.S. and how messed up it is. And I know even Shaq is getting some hate mail for appearing on the show and buying a couple tigers from Joe Exotic. Which, I mean, you're perpetuating this whole issue with the tigers, right? I mean, there's only so many left. There's more tigers that are being held domestically or domesticated rather than in the wild right now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But
yeah, and I like how it doesn't take a side on that either.
Right.
I look at it and like we're getting one side from the people who are holding these tigers, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, you say that like there was like 4,000 in the wild, but there's 10,000 in captivity in the States. Is that a bad thing?
Right.
We don't know the whole story in terms of like how they're being taken care of, because it seems like they're being taken care of pretty well and they're actually cared for. But then some things after the fact, if you get into a hole of reading on it, there's some things that they definitely didn't show that kind of point you more towards the this is fucked up range.
Yeah.
But it's one of those documentaries that's so entertaining that after the fact you'll end up going online and reading more about it.
Right. And I'm currently I'm going to be finishing up tonight. I'm watching The Messiah season 1. It's a Netflix original. I believe it got canceled for the second season, but it's pretty good so far. I just don't think it got a lot of flack from Middle Eastern countries because it revolves around the Middle East. And basically, this guy shows up in the Middle East and he says he is the Messiah. And it's like the same tone of like the like almost like a counterintelligence show, like a cop investigation show, because the CIA gets involved in the U.S. saying there's this guy starting a movement in the Middle East and he gets all these people to follow him, so they think he's starting like the next Al Qaeda. So they're investigating, like, is he a hoax? He's doing things like walking on water and being displayed all over the world, so people think he is the Messiah. So you have like this group of people, the religious people that are like, worshiping. You have the other people thinking it's the end of days. And then you have the CIA that's like, this guy's going to get people killed. So we need to handle the situation. Really good so far. Yeah, I think you check it out. I mean, you would like it. I mean, you like all the stuff about religion too. So It takes that whole aspect too of like, is this guy really, I'm in episode 9 out of 10. And I still don't know. Like, you don't know if he's really pulling a fast one of these people or if he is a Messiah. Like, it's pretty good so far. And there's some famous actors in it too. You recognize some people. Yeah, and then I think I'm gonna check out Ozark because I keep hearing good things about that show. It's on Netflix. But
I went back and I just remember watching Seven Deadly Sins, the anime.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but
yeah,
I read the manga and then I started watching it like years ago when it first came out, and I don't know, fell off, and then recently I was just like looking through. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this, and I got sucked back in.
Yeah, it happens pretty easily. Show. Yeah. All right, and then for movie news, Marvel completely changed their release schedule for movies, pushing a lot of stuff. Yeah, pushing a lot of stuff up. Black Widow is now arriving November 6th, 2020. So, yeah, quite a ways out. Now, it's taking over the Eternals' previous release date, which is the Eternals is now happening February 12th, 2021.
Just isn't too much of a push.
Right, and this might even be a blessing in disguise. They're pushing pushing it to 2021 is kind of far, so they might want to clean some stuff up. I feel like, I don't know.
That, and I don't know if it's Marvel, and we said the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, but the Eternals aren't like a huge property, and it might be better for them to be in a slower month.
Makes sense. Yeah, February is the slowest month, right?
Yeah.
Usually. Or March is. I think March is always down.
Yeah, it's usually like the beginning of the year is pretty slow, or movies that they don't expect to do much. So you put a Marvel movie up there, it's going to just slaughter everybody.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings currently set for May 7th, 2021. So I got to wait a year to see Shang-Chi on the big screen. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, November 5th, 2021. Thor: Love and Thunder moving all the way back to February 18th, 2022. The previously untitled Marvel movie has now been revealed to be Captain Marvel 2 and is pushed forward to July 8th, 2022. So more Marvel movies. We're finally getting a second Captain Marvel. I mean, that was bound to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know what the next few years of Marvel looks like. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think all those movies look good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been turned around on Black Widow and her solo movie. I'll be interested to see what they do with Eternals. That one just has my faith as a fan of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I want to see Doctor Strange in like a horror multiverse thing. That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thor. I mean, what's the director's name? Takia.
Yeah, I can't. Don't make.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry to him. He's a great director, but he's coming back, so I have faith that that's gonna be great. And then Captain Marvel 2. Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how strong Captain Marvel 2 will be, especially without an origin story. You know, I mean that most of that movie is the origin story, and then it's like Superman 1, right? You get the origin of Superman. It's like, okay, so now what do we do with Superman 2? But I mean, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut is actually amazing. But I guess that wasn't a great example. But how much can you really do with this character that can punch holes through the earth? I guess is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, where can we go from there?
Yeah, I don't want to say dislike, because I thought Captain Marvel was a good movie. But it falls in the lower ranks of Marvel movies for me. But it also, like you said, it's an origin movie, and it was so tied to the origin that immediately lost like 4 points in my scale.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what they do with the second one, especially not only after that, but does it take place prior to Infinity War and all that, or is it going to come to modern continuity? There's a lot of questions there that I would like to have answered, and I'm sure we will in the next few years.
Yep, and now we're going to get some questions answered in an interview with Jamie Jones, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the show. Another very special guest, Mr. Jamie Jones. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Hey. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can't really be anywhere lately, but we can still do the podcast, which is nice.
So just a little human interaction is nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you there. So welcome, man. It's first time on the show. All the first-time guests, we like to talk about an origin story of comics. If you've always had a love for comics, what got you into it? What made you want to write a comic? So I don't know if you just want to start there, and how did it all start?
Yeah, I didn't read comics until I was about 17. So about the time when I could like drive to the comic book shop and had a little more income and could buy comics. Yep. But I had no desire and no interest into superheroes, but that changed clearly.
Yeah, for sure.
But the comic shop owner gave me the first trade of Fables, the first trade of Sandman, and the first trade of the Goon.
Oh.
And he was just like, "Yeah, none of these are superheroes," and I'm just go crazy. And I was hooked from that point on. I've been reading comics all the time. So
awesome. Yeah, we always when Chris and I met in the comic shop, that's how we became friends. But we would always talk about when people would come into the store and they'd be like, "What? I'm not really into superheroes." Like, well, there's a lot of like, there's Preacher. Here, read Preacher.
right. Yeah.
There's no capes in Preacher. There's always like the holy grails you can go to of like, especially Sandman too, of like just the writing alone of that. And I mean, it's Neil Gaiman, right? It's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
So eventually, you thought, oh, I could develop my own story, or
years ago, I was just a reader, and then I guess 6 years ago, I decided that I was going to start making comics, and I went to Heroes Con in Charlotte and met a frequent collaborator of mine, Trace Dean, who just wrote a book about The Rock. That's his big claim to fame right now. Is
that's pretty awesome, though. I might check it out.
Yeah. And so we did a book called Dodger, just as a small, self-published, foot in the door kind of project. And we did that for four years, I think, just off and on, and still submitting work. And I met Frank Barberi, and Five Ghosts is Frank's book. And Frank gave me my first interior work in their big annual book, and so that was my first interior, and then from there I just started doing more little things here and there, and finally was fed up with trying to submit to Marvel and DC, and I decided, it was at Heroes Con, so 5 years after my first Heroes Con, I went over, I talked to Trace, and I said, I think I'm just going to make my own comic, and I'm just going to lean more heavily into a cartoony style and go from there, and really kind of get in touch with my roots as a cartoonist and what I was really interested in doing. So,
cool.
Then came the baboon. Yeah.
Okay, then came the baboon. So yeah, and the baboon is somewhat embraced that like cartoony. And when I looked at it, that's I immediately thought, oh, this is like the Goon. That style.
Yeah.
And which is great. I mean, the Goon's an awesome comic. So yeah, so talk about that. Give us the pitch for Baboon. The Baboon.
The Baboon is my love letter to 40s and 50s pulp action comics. It's a hard family comic, so I try to avoid the all ages moniker in comics, because that can be a death sentence. But it is a book made for the Johnny Quest lovers, right? Johnny Quest, Indiana Jones, these are all, in my mind, kids products. Original Star Wars is, right. I guess new Star Wars too is most definitely a kid's product, but original Star Wars was a children's. It's so I really wanted to lean heavily into that. We still have guns, we still have death, we still have all of the things that make a compelling story, but under the veneer of a PG rating.
It's interesting. So, I mean, when you're writing it that style, does that just happen to you naturally, or do you have to like be aware of some things when you're writing that style?
Yeah, I really, really have to force myself if I want to curse in just in my day-to-day life. So, it's real easy for me to just write this kind of story. The characters just kind of fall off. Crud is I think the worst word in the book. So
that's awesome.
So it's really not hard to write characters and not curse or not make it overly grotesque. I'm a big fan of Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of my line, where originally Samurai Jack was the last cartoon on that cartoon block on Friday nights before Toonami kicked in.
Yep.
And it was so clear that Toonami was for the older age group. So, but Samurai Jack was right on the edge. And so I always try to balance right at the Samurai Jack edge.
That's pretty cool. I love Samurai Jack, and then they did that like the most recent season where they made it like full on part of Adult Swim, I think, where it was like bloody. I'm like, this isn't, these fans have grown up, so is Samurai Jack, I guess. Like,
right, yeah.
That's cool. So, what is the baboon? I mean, who is he?
He is a masked vigilante in the spirit of the spirit, I guess. A guy who has no powers, just an action philanthropist character. He is a government agent, which in the first book, it's a 64-page hardcover, and we kind of get the gist that he's a government agent. But I have plans to go further into. There are more of these guys who are all masked mystery men, and I'm a big fan of the Justice Society of America, and they did that where those characters are called mystery men, and they just guys who wear masks are mystery men, and some of them have powers, most of them do not. It's a we're gonna send you on a mission, go and complete it. He has a crew, he has a sidekick who is his nephew, and it is Johnny Quest in so many ways, with the perfect crew for any situation.
So you've said Johnny Quest a few times now, and I can't stop myself from looking up and seeing your secret squirrel pop. So how much Hanna-Barbera influence is there in what you do, especially with the baboon?
So much. When I decided to take the step into doing a more cartoony, family-friendly book, Hanna-Barbera became my life again. It was what I watched when I was a kid with my dad, and it was perfect. And I think when you grow up, you try to escape that a little bit and try to do something a little more gritty. And so recently, in the past couple of years, I've really tried to go back to my roots, watch a bunch of cartoons. I just got Disney Plus, so I've been watching all of DuckTales, and just that style of storytelling and cartoons, and the syndicated the syndicated nature of those cartoons, where you have the characters established perfectly every single episode, and you don't need to have more information. Barney Rubble is Fred's best friend, and that's just the way it is, and you don't have to question that. So really taking in a lot of that kind of storytelling technique and sticking it into the book. I mean, I have a Grape Ape bank that's right off of my computer that you can't see. I've got Hong Kong Phooey.
Yep, I see him.
Figure.
Yep.
I've got. Yeah, it's there. It's everywhere. There's a Muttley off screen. I'm all in with Hanna-Barbera, and have been since I was a kid. I wrote all of my biography essays that I had to do when I was a kid in elementary school and middle school were all Hanna-Barbera based.
That's amazing. Awesome. So, I mean, where are these? You have installments of these stories, and where are they available for people if they want to check out the baboon? So
I do everything myself, and it's on my Big Cartel site. So it's artofjamiejones.bigcartel.com is how you can purchase the books. And I do a bunch of mini comics as well, just as supplemental stuff in between the bigger, longer form things. And I'm going to be doing a baboon comic strip starting April 7th.
Oh, okay. Couple days.
So yeah, just a few days. I've banked 2 months of comics so far.
Nice.
So I'm going to be updating twice a week for the foreseeable future, for at least 2 months.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So we'll see if it catches on, and I'm just going to be doing that on my Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. And are you working on anything else coming out? You got any other projects you can talk about? Or
Right now, I'm in baboon mode. I have to promote Quarter Killer, which is a book that I did for the Comixology Originals line with Vita Ayala and Danny Lore. Vita Ayala of, I guess, now writing X-Men, one of the X books. And Danny Lore did Queen of Bad Dreams at Vault. And they both recently did the James Bond comic. So, yeah, I did that with them. And the trade I think the trade comes out next week, too. I think they pushed up the trade date due to all of this craziness. So, yeah.
So what is Quarter Killer? What is that?
Quarter Killer is a Afro-cyberpunk heist book.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was super fun. It's a creator-owned book. The Quarter Killer, Quentin, works for Quarters because he has the only payphone left in the world in New York City, he uses it to call his mom and not be traced.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's pretty great. Awesome.
Yeah. And Quarter Killer, being one of the Comixology Unlimited originals, is free through Unlimited, and I believe it's 99 cents an issue, so it's a affordable comic as well.
Yeah, and I think the trade is going to be 99 cents when they release it, due to they're making all of their Comixology original books 99 cents for I think a couple of weeks due to the virus.
That's pretty cool that they're doing that.
That's 5 issues for 99 cents. Or it's free with Comixology Unlimited, it's free with the Kindle Unlimited, and it's free with just an Amazon Prime subscription.
Oh, okay.
So it's real easy to get the book for no money.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, well, I've been saying for a while, Comixology Unlimited is well worth the money. I mean, the new stuff they're putting out has been good. Actually, Quarter Killer was one that's on my list to read, even before I knew you were doing it. And the other free stuff they give you as a part of the service is fantastic. So yeah, that's well worth your cash to subscribe to that.
Yeah. And if we want our listeners / viewers to follow you said you got stuff on your Twitter and Instagram. Where can we send them?
I am Art of Jamie Jones on pretty much everything. So that is the way. At Art of Jamie Jones.
Cool. So we'll be seeing a couple comics a week from you coming soon. A few days here.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're definitely gonna have Jamie back. Get some of the baboon out there. Quarter Killer. We're gonna have to check that out. But yeah, check him out. Art of Jamie Jones. Find him wherever and check that stuff out. Very cool guy. Glad we got to talk with him.
Yeah, I think as soon as this whole apocalypse is over with, I might have to buy some baboon because it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now let's talk about the comic news. There is still some comic news lurking around. I don't know. Yeah, a little bit. little crumbs here on the floor. But I think this move from DC is actually, it might even be with that whole 12 hours of them being bad people. You know what I mean? This might be their... I got a funny story about that after we talk about this. So DC has announced they'll donate $250,000 to the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. The money will go back to helping comic book stores and their employees. That's awesome, DC. We know why you're doing it, but we still think it's awesome. You need some good PR, and I get it. But yeah, that's really cool they did that.
That being said, though, I will give DC props. Knowing a comic retailer, they do way more than anybody else for comic stores, even without this mess going on and the kind of bad decision they made. So kudos to them for always being there for the retailers and stepping up for them.
Yeah. It just reminded me of I had a conversation with someone today that was like, hey, did you hear Robert Kraft and the Patriots is using his private jet to donate medical supplies to, people fighting the coronavirus? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you mean the same Robert Kraft last year that got caught in a sex trafficking ring? I was like, the people don't forget Robert Kraft. But apparently some people forgot, and I was like, yeah, he still has no respect for me. I was like, it's amazing what these people can do to just get everyone to forget about all the shitty stuff they've done. I'm like, this guy is part. He's doing wheelings and dealings with sex trafficking rings. I'm like, I could do without the medical supplies. On his private jet. I'm like, anyways, I just had to get. It was just funny because I just had that conversation and seeing this in the news. But anyways, and Chris hates the Patriots. So, Viz Media announces that they're releasing a new Super Mario manga collection in North America in late 2020. This will feature stories never released in English before. Chris is excited.
Yeah, I might check this out. I actually probably will check this out because I have the collection of Super Mario comics that they did in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, those are awesome.
And I have the collection of comics they did for Nintendo Power in a collected form. So they're fun little reads. They remind me of being a kid and loving Super Mario, so I'll probably check this out. I read Mega Man manga. Why not Super Mario manga?
Yeah, why not? And then we have some sad news. Writer/artist Juan Jimenez died at the age of 76 due to complications from COVID-19. He's best known for his work on heavy metal. That's been a long time running comic/magazine. And he had a long time series, Meta Barons. So rest in peace, Juan. It seems that getting worse and worse every day, but hopefully we can come out on the other end of this.
Yeah, this is our first big hit in the comics industry in terms of death.
Yeah.
Juan's an amazing artist, and if you can check out his stuff, definitely do. But I had never read Meta Barons before. Honestly, I'd never heard of Meta Barons before, and I looked it up, and we talked about Comixology Unlimited earlier in the show. It is free on Comixology Unlimited, the entire series.
Wow.
So I went and borrowed the first volume of it, and I want to check it out because I do love his art, and want to see because everyone's coming out and saying how great that series is. So
yeah, I'm definitely checking it out now.
As a tribute to him, everybody should go to Comixology and pick up that and check it out. Yeah.
And I guess what we've been reading, the many books this week, Chris. I had 2 whole books that were both digital first. I had Jessica Jones' Blindspot number 6. This is the finale of the Kelly Thompson Jessica Jones, but it says to be continued and it ends on a cliffhanger. So, like the last issue, I was wondering what they were going to do with this issue because they wrapped up the whole villain and the whole main story arc. Now they have to have a birthday party for her daughter. So that's like, it's pretty. The issue is like her and Luke Cage decorating and stuff, and people keep jumping in. Like Thor shows up, She-Hulk shows up and like destroys their kitchen. Thor shows up and like they send him out on errands to go like get the cupcakes and stuff, and then Lone Shark shows up. I've never seen that Marvel character before. We might have to do a shitty villain about him because it's spelled Lone Shark, and because he's like the lone gunman, they're like, "What are you, like a lone shark?" That's very original. He's like, "No, it's like the lone gunman." It's actually pretty funny. And then after like fighting with them, he realizes he like enters the apartment. He's like, "Oh, are you having a birthday party?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I'll leave you guys alone." Like, he stops being a Superman. It's a great issue. And then at the end, the daughter comes back from being with a babysitter, and she's all purple, and we don't know why. And so I don't know what that means. If it has anything to do with the Purple Man, Probably, right? So that's where the cliffhanger ends, and it says to be continued. So hopefully Kelly Thompson's done a great job with this character. We all talk about how great her writing is. So I'd love to see. And I'm on for Jessica Jones. Like, I'm reading a Marvel book right now, Chris. It's got Jessica Jones, and it's great. This issue is a lot of fun. You don't even need the continuity of the original issues. You should check it out. It's pretty good. Batman: The Adventures Continue. This was a breath of fresh air within this whole quarantine thing, man.
Yeah.
It was like, it's like, man, I've ridden a bike all my childhood. Haven't ridden a bike in a while. I'm gonna dust off the old, I don't know, what's on a bike? Tires? Gonna dust off the tires. I don't go outside, so I don't really know what a bike looks like.
What's on a bike? Tires?
The pedals. I don't know the pedals. I don't know the steering wheel, right? Okay, and but no, I thought it was a fun issue. It really captures the heart and soul, I think, of the animated series. You can correct me if I'm wrong here. And we get conflict going on. Lex Luthor, Superman's missing. Clark Kent's missing. Lex Luthor has a giant robot, and he's stealing Kryptonian technology alien technology. So I thought it was a solid first issue. What did you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and Lex Luthor's in it, so that was definitely not what I expected.
Me either.
And I thought the art was fun, although I was hoping for more of a Batman Adventures style art to it, but it did kind of veer away from that and more towards like possibly New Adventures of Batman or Justice League Unlimited style, but still it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was just great to see Dini and those characters, and it's a really cool, like, it's one of those digital first half issues, 99 cents, that'll be printed later, so I'm sure I'm going to buy this twice. I really liked it. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I mean, that's what did you read?
That yeah, I've been going and trying to get caught up on old issues, so I've read a bunch of random stuff that I was just like an issue or two behind on. Read through all the Justice League I got behind on, and really enjoying that. And then caught up on all my X-Men stuff because I got like way behind on X-Men stuff, and that's all really great. Read Outlawed, which was the Eve Ewing book that was going to set up the New Champions run. And while it was good, it just gave me feelings of Civil War. They make a mistake on a mission, the government gets involved, they're going to ban teenage superheroes. But it was enjoyable nonetheless. Other than that, like just random stuff that I was behind on. But what I want to do moving forward, so if anybody wants to find me on Twitter at Fortress Chris, I'm going to start looking on Comixology for like the super indie stuff, the stuff that like nobody talks about. And I'm not talking about like the Image book that nobody talks about. I want like the Travis Holyfield Street Clothes Image style or indie style book that nobody talks about. And I'm going to start reading a couple of those a week, just so I have because I introduced myself something really cool, possibly. Yep. And B, gives us more to talk about on the show. So I'm going to start doing that. So if you have any suggestions, you have a friend or a guy you really like that does that stuff, send them my way, and I'll check them out.
I will, too. I think I'm just going to randomly start looking on Comixology and buying stuff. I actually have a couple trades that I bought that were on sale. That's some indie stuff I got to get through. So
yeah, and I'll say Comixology does a really great job of having an indie section that you can look through. So I'm also been kind of perusing through that, looking for issue number 1s and seeing if there's any cool stuff out there.
Cool.
But Mike, where can people find you on that internet?
They can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show, Chris?
They can find me at Fortress Chris or at chrisrunt.com. That's CHRISRUNDT.com. And they can find the show at fortresscomicnews.com. Remember, everybody, if you're listening to us, to give us those 5 stars. I know there's some new listeners out there with the quarantine and everything, and your 5 stars are appreciated. Helps us find even more new people that can enjoy our silky, sultry voices.
I've been noticing some viewers every day on the Facebook page. Some more, people are checking us out.
Yeah. Quarantine's been good to us, Mike.
Let's not go that far.
And if you're watching us on the YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. Everybody, once again, my Kickstarter, Battle Monsters issue number 1 is live on Kickstarter. I really appreciate everybody checking it out and possibly helping to fund the project. And we will see you all next week.